Weaver. What you're dealing with are actors and actresses that have developed a professional discipline. And that discipline is how to step away from their ego, how to be professional and yet proficient and consistent with their performance. And so, yeah, so a lot of people are intimidated by women and men who are like this because they call them, oh, they're egotistical. They're not egotistical. They're just very professional and disciplined, and they're proficient, and they know what to expect being on a set. So when you're on a set in a movie industry or like in the entertainment world, Hollywood is cutthroat. Hollywood is so cutthroat. You got to understand. You got to have a thick skin to be in Hollywood. Hollywood is no different from the entertainment business. Hollywood is so cutthroat that when you actually sit down with like producers and directors, you're lucky to even get that far because that's not the hard part. That's actually like the kind of relaxing part. The hardest part is going through like the studio process and dealing with other people who have no real involvement with the movies. They just deal with the paperwork and the sit down agreement. You know, it's like the handshake agreement. You know, like members who buy your movies and people who want to see their versions of actors or their versions of movies out in the world, you know, because Hollywood is just about making money. That's all it's about. It's not about being an actor or a proficient actor or being a member of like the thespian arts. They don't care about that. They're just an industry business to make money. That's why when you have movies like the Avengers movies and all these other people on these different studios making money, it makes Hollywood look good. And so, not getting too deep into Hollywood, going back to the acting part of it, how to involve yourself in movies and how to be a better actor. So all I'm going to tell you is that, practice on timing, practice on breathing. And if I was you, if you've never been an actor, you want to get into the business, go learn your lines. Just go learn your lines. Learn your lines. Learn how to read script. Learn where to stand on theater, stage plays, because, theater will teach you how to be so vulnerable that you'll never be afraid of anything in acting again. You'll never be afraid when someone says, you act now, boom, they put you on the set because theater kind of trains you that because you're put on the spot every day. Even when you practice, you go through grueling hours of practice. You got other, actors with you, and they're like they are your support system and they're your best friends. And I'm telling you that in theater, you want to go through it. So don't rush to be in Hollywood to be an actor. Don't just go be a YouTube star and just try to get into movies because, yeah, you'll get lucky. But, and also you'll get lucky if you worked on a movie set as well. Nothing against that. But if you're really trying to be proficient and to be very excellent and to kind of grow within the business, you want to kind of get involved in the more accurate way to be. And it'll only build yourself. And you don't really need money to do that. You can go perform in theater anywhere. You can write your own plays. The whole point is theater can be performed anywhere. And that's the thing. You don't need money to be in theater. You just need to have the will and the passion in order to want to be in front of people you do not know, to be so vulnerable, to be naked for them in a metaphoric and in a literal sense. So, so as we keep going on talking about acting, okay, what does a director expect of an actor? All a director wants you to do, this is the truth, because I'm a director. All directors want you to do, they just want you to sit your ass down. They want you to fucking relax, smoke some weed, drink, go get hair, do whatever the fuck you gotta do. Get into the mode of what they ask, what is the character, the material that they gave you, to honestly approach the material. Don't be afraid of approaching the material. Be confident with yourself, owning and reading and understanding the piece of shit material that the director asks you to do. Because the director is the one that's going to be the one kind of like being your passionate driving force and direction. And I'm not saying all directors are great, but there are some directors who really don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because directors are humans. And so humans have a difference of opinions and difference of perception of the world, of themselves, of life, of family. And so when you're working with a director, just because they know how to, name the number of a camera lens or the kind of camera they want, the kind of shot they want, or the angle they want, and the kind of degrees they want, and the kind of zoom in, zoom out. They want a wide lens, they want a short, narrow lens. You know, with all that stuff, the different, professional phrases that you would use on set. It's not just about that. The technical parts of it is not just about making a movie. More of the ethereal parts are like what makes a movie special. Those are like, for me, the more important parts of a director. That a director should actually fully be understood about of themselves, and when they're on a movie, how to involve themselves. Because if you have a director who's not really passionate and is just doing it for a job, you're gonna get what you call like a 50-50 kind of movie. You're gonna get it could work or it was all right. You know what I'm saying? And so you don't know. It's a gamble every day. So, but like if you look at certain directors, like for example James Cameron. James Cameron had a knack for the unknown. He was a director that took like science fiction, an unknown, very risky thing to direct. In my understanding in movie industry, one of the hardest genres to direct are fantasy, science fiction, and comedy. And those are like the three hardest things to actually direct in the movie industry. Drama and action, those are like the easiest, the silliest things, because as a director on a drama set, that's actually more relaxing for the director, because and for the actor's point of view, it's like a little bit more, it's more emotional. It's more actually a lot more difficult for an actor. I would say actors' difficult time in the movie industry would have to be with comedy and drama, because action is very easy to convey. Science fiction, it's comical in itself. You can, they say wear the suit most of the time in science fiction movies, or they say, act like you're in space. It's really silly and childish. It's not really, and in fantasy, I mean, if you've never been a child, shame on you. You should know what a child is like. So, when you're dealing with drama, it's really hard to cry on cue for an actor. It's a very emotional thing, and it's very hard to be sincere, to be shown sincerity. Like, I have a hard time. Someone says, Tyrone, look sincere. I'd be like, what the fuck is sincere? But if you went through drama school, you actually went through maybe some type of plays, theater, all that behavior mechanisms of your face will be so like child's play. It'll be like, okay, I know what sincerity is. Just like with comedy, if you've never been in a comedy, thing, I would say for black people, to be very professional is definitely, actually for actors, I mean, but for all races and color, and ages, comedy and drama will be two of the most highly regarded things in your toolkit to want to utilize. Because when you utilize on those two things, you're going to be excellent. You're going to be dominant. You're going to be awesome in it. And there's nothing that's ever going to hold you back. And when you're acting is one of the most underground tools in society. No one likes to act. But people won't admit to you the truth, but everyone in the world acts. We're all acting. Politicians act, everyone acts. So that's the mockery with acting, They don't tell you that, but it's the truth. Everyone in life is acting. We're constantly on a 24/7 clock of acting. We act in the behaviors of the consensus is we're being honest, we're being truthful. We're not on being shot behind the camera. We don't have a script. But the reality is we do have a script. The script of our minds are made up of imagination every day. When we wake up, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you're going to do. So that's the vulnerable place for an actor to go every single day. So, you got to understand the actor's job is actually a lot more difficult, because they're actually playing into dualities every single day of who they think they are and these actual caricatures, or these characters, or these solids of different perceptions of personalities that they have to kind of go through on a constant daily, minute by minute, hour to hour, week to week, month to month, day basis, So it's a really grueling thing for actors. So I give actors a lot of sympathy in that regard, because it's not easy, and it's a hard burden to hold, because when you kind of come out of that, every actor will tell you, including myself, I'll tell you that it's the hardest thing is to let a character go, and it is true, because you're a piece of that character. You watch Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice. it was two of the hardest things that Michael Keaton did that he portrayed, and it was very useful in his career. And that was he was able to convince the audience not only to be funny, but to be accurately serious and to be filled with so much high octane of energy, yet to control a discipline of being taken literal. And that's technically what acting is like, really, like that's like acting 101. Go watch Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice. That'll tell you everything about a man, about acting. You know, it's hard. You know, how can you be cynically funny, yet serious and accurate, yet disciplined, to know your lines and to improv at the same time? That takes a beauty of wonder. And a lot of people don't give Michael Keaton that credit, which I do because I love Michael Keaton. It was the same thing he played for Batman. You know, the mannerisms of Batman, to be taken, a man in a costume to be taken literal. That's the hardest thing to do, because when you're in a costume, it's silly, it's funny. You know, you're in pajamas, you're in latex leather, your ass feels funny, your balls are all crunched up in the bat suit, your armpits are sweating, grueling, sweating, your heads can barely breathe, your brain can barely breathe, you're asked to breathe through your nose and your mouth majority of the time, and the latex around your mouth, around Michael Keaton's mouth, I guarantee you that he will tell you that probably for hours on end, when he would eat food, he probably would drink more water and stay away from like pastas and things like that, because his food probably tastes more rubbery. Because being in plastic rubber for like a large amount of hours and you're profusely sweating makes your food taste accurately like rubber. So, you know, when you're going through these different modes, though, it's what you have to deal with as an actor, and that's what a lot of actors don't understand. If you're getting into the movie business to be actor, I would say just take yourself serious and don't take yourself as a joke. I was looking at some of these new actors coming out. For example, Jason Momoa. I'm actually going to talk about the different degrees of these new actors and compared to the original ones from like the 80s, more of the current modern day actor of today will be from like the 80s, 90s, and so on. So I want to explain something about Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa is one example of how hard it is for an actor to what they have to be, what they gotta kind of go through in their career. Jason Momoa is one of the actors that is actually it's kind of funny. He's one of the actors where he has actually one of the hardest jobs right now. Reason why I say that is because, one, he's an American actor. Two, you know, he's older. He's in his 40s, which is not bad, but it just kind of will give you an idea as to the kind of area where you have to kind of be in order to reach your level of success. There is no age limit. It's just about that moment. And this is definitely Jason Momoa's year. And I just want to say, since 2016 has been like Jason Momoa. Since then to 2019, the guy was just an Aquaman. Great job. And the reason why I say that is because for Jason Momoa, he was able to not only go from the top, but he's actually doing a backwards verse in his career, because he actually has a harder, because Jason Momoa is one of those actors where he's known for his body size. And to be known for your body size is almost like a taboo in itself. It can get you typecasted very, very quickly. Second thing is typecasted into what category? Action films. You do not want to be typecasted. If you typecast as an action star, oh man, just be prepared to be very, very like, ooh, that's hard. Reason why I say that, because you can only have up to so many years to do action. Look at Sylvester Stallone. He actually broke the mold for how many years you need. Actually, Chuck Norris actually did that. But when you look at Chuck Norris and you look at Sylvester Stallone and you look at like characters like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Jean-Claude Van Damme is actually doing grueling bad as far as the highlight of his career versus the now. And for Jason Momoa, going back to him, the reason why I say he has it so bad is because Jason Momoa is doing his career backwards. He actually has to do what you call a de-evolution of his own, like his own acting self. What and pretty much what I'm saying is, when you look at Jason Momoa, you look at him as Aquaman. You didn't see him as Paperboy. You saw him as Aquaman. So now him reaching the heights of Aquaman, now he has to do a de-evolution. Because the bar has been raised so high, you have high expectations. So his next movie has to be that big. His next best thing has to be that big. You know, he has to just be big every single time. Kind of like how The Rock kind of was out. And The Rock got very lucky. You know, The Rock did actually, he did actually the proper reverse approach as well. Because he went from the grueling parts of entertainment business to go through wrestling. And to be highlighted in such a regard, he had to go through grueling bullshit. I mean, wrestling is no joke. If people think that you can jump off of trampoline material that's not really safe, it's not. Wrestling is one of the hardest jobs you ever do, and it's one of the most groundbreaking, backbreaking jobs you ever do. It's more backbreaking than police work. It's more backbreaking than like firefighters. Like it's constant physicality, and it's harsh because you're constantly getting hit with stuff. You're constantly being bombarded with offenses and different forms of muscles, verbally and physically. And breathing is the essential piece of wrestling. Like, if you do not breathe and relax your body, you are going to be in a world of hurt. And, you know, it's not just about being physical. It's about just breathing and being relaxed. You got to be relaxed when you take a hit. You got to be relaxed when you throw a hit, when you pull a hit, when you pull a punch. So, when we're talking about acting, and Jason Momoa, for example, going back to him, yeah, man, he has to do a lot of like patience, because now when I watch Jason Momoa, everything he does better be great, because if anything else is not slide from great, I don't want to see him in it. But as a director, though, that's just me as an audience member. But as a director, for me, I can express myself all day. And I mean, as a good director, I am a guy who has a keen eye and a script writer, because I know the lengths of what an actor has to go through. And I know what it's like to be under the lens and have to kind of, you know, procreate yourself in a way to where you got to kind of be your own best friend. But for Jason Momoa, yeah, man, just for example, yeah, he needs to be, people have to understand that it's harder for him because his career started from here. That means you have to learn how to be up here and how to be constantly up there, but how to be not only up here with yourself, but with your acting, with your discipline, with your patience, with everything. And you got to be humble. And in Hollywood, you're really looked at by how you deal with people. And that's another thing about Hollywood. A lot of people don't understand. It's not racist. It's just very critical on how you appropriate yourself. And, you know, that's just with any business. So, you know, if you appropriate yourself right, you can be out of the lens of the bullshit. But if you appropriate yourself where you're not in control of said material and you're not taking opportunities seriously, you're taking them lightly, you can be overshot. And, you know, and even people who've been in big movies, they're overshot all the time. Like with Brie Larson, she went through, I call it the Brie Larson effect now. That's what it's called. I mean, she went through a quick overshot of the expectation. People love Captain Marvel, and I thought Captain Marvel did great. The reason why I love Captain Marvel, because I can appreciate The Long Kiss Goodnight. And that was a movie, by the way. And what I mean is that is a movie that's not predicted to do great. It's not supposed to. Captain Marvel was not predicted to do well. It wasn't supposed to. But it was received quite differently because it involved a female. And that was the only saving grace about Captain Marvel. I'll tell you honestly. Saving grace for Captain Marvel was that it was ran by a woman. It could have been by any woman, not Brie Larson. They would have went through that same excursion of bullshit that Brie Larson went through. It's just Brie Larson was the one that they chose. Brie Larson could have overshot and turned that. But I do believe that somewhere in between the Brie Larson effect, that's why I call it Brie Larson effect, when she played Captain Marvel, when you're taking upon these characters, it's like winning the lottery. You know what I'm saying? And it's like she was given the $1 billion already. So pretty much people was forced to like her because how the movies set up the character, how they set up the story, the build up, and it was well executed actually because Infinity War actually executed Brie Larson's character very well. We just didn't know who was gonna play it. And when we found out who was gonna play it, it was just her acting method. It was it was it was kind of bastardized because she was being looked at as being taken too serious. And that's really kind of what happened. She overshot the character a little bit too much. She lost the touch of the humbleness that's regarded with Captain Marvel. But if you guys kind of understand Captain Marvel, that's not really what her character is about. It's not about being humble. It's about being a dominant force. And she was supposed to be like a soldier being taken literally serious. And she wasn't supposed to be really liked because she's the protector of the gates of the universe. So, she actually executed the character well. And that's what people don't really see as far as through the expectation of the character. They saw her as trying to be like another Superman, painted her as a picture as a hero-like, a hero-ness. But Captain Marvel's character, she's not really a hero-ness. She's a heroine. She's like a heroine. She's just someone to be involved with in that moment, just a set piece. And that's it. Next story, finish. But that's what people didn't expect. And we got so involved with the character that we think it was something Brie Larson did. No, Brie Larson didn't do nothing wrong. She did her job. She did exactly what she's supposed to do. She did the story. She did the acting. Finished. That's it. And then also, going back to acting, that's just examples of kind of like as an actor, what people don't see that I can see, that like other directors can see, that other people writing can see, that they understand the fundamentals. Like people think when they watch a movie, they just go, "Oh, this movie sucks." It's not suck. It's just movies. I mean, there are some movies that are terrible. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some movies that are terrible. But in its own rights, movies are not categorized if they suck or if they do suck. They don't suck. That's not how movies are categorized. Movies are categorized in the themes from which they are created in. So if you look at, for example, going back to actors, seeing the world through Leonardo DiCaprio's eyes, you would think every movie should be like Leonardo DiCaprio if you go in the rights of if a movie is good or it sucks. Because if you look at Leonardo DiCaprio's career, almost similar to Denzel Washington's, it's just that they're two separate people, is that if you look at Leonardo DiCaprio's career, he went through a drama-filled arena, which he went through one of the most critical things that an actor can go through. One, being a child star actor. Two, being a successful child star actor. Three, being a successful star child actor within drama. That's hard. I don't care who you are, it's hard. Because if you're in drama, child, and acting, that's hard. And because you don't understand, it's very behavioral and very constantly emotional. That's why I love Leonardo DiCaprio, because he was able to express the proper forms of mannerisms and humbleness, going through the bullshit of actually the chaos and the depression of drama. He was actually going through a de-appreciation of the material, which a lot of people wouldn't survive. But that's why I love drama acting, because drama acting gives you the de-appreciation of yourself, that you're nothing, that you're taken away from the piece, and the material just stems through the universal code of the work. And that's why if you've been in theater will teach you all about that and how to de-evolve yourself, because acting and movies are two separate things, but acting in theater will teach you how to appreciate your acting in movies. That's why I suggest people go through drama acting and drama school and theater and comedy, because even comedy, it is one dramatic piece. To be forced to be funny is hard. to be fluid, to be funny, it's very lucky. You got to be very lucky to be on a comedy set to be taken serious. Because if you're not, it's hard because you don't know how your performance is going to be on the other side. You don't see it in the movies. It's not. You don't know what's going to be edited. So, I really feel my actors when they go through those different grades of being kind of judged. And it's very hard. And so, you see all these different actors kind of having what you call their up and down periods. They're not having up and down periods. They're just having periods where studios, writers, and directors don't know what to write more for these people because they don't have, I'll tell you the truth, in Hollywood, there's not too many people who have expressive views. Like, they're not very creative. They're just like robots. They're like, I do this, I do this, I do this. I'm known for this, and they get very anal retentive in themselves. Like, I did this, I did that, I did Titanic, I did really scarred the aliens. They get very soaked in the material. And they get all properly, infused. I am so proud. And it's like, dude, chill out. It's not. We're not in the 40s anymore. This is 2019. Relax. And so, and that's the truth of what's happening with Hollywood. A lot of people are. But it's coming around. I feel like, Jordan Peele and these new directors coming out now. The guy who did Black Panther. It's getting highly regarded again. And people who are taking directors and writers and producers who are not afraid to take risks into different arenas and to mess with it. A lot of directors don't really get a lot of credit. And a lot of writers don't get a lot of credit for what they do. A strong one will actually be like, what's a good one that doesn't really get a lot of credit? Actually, I'll give you a recent one that doesn't really get a lot of credit. It's called B-rated movies. B-rated movies don't get a lot of credit because they're just movies that are not really seen. And that's why they're called B-rated materials. Because when you categorize theme movies as being winners or losers, successful, not successful, working, not working, it's really hard to make movies then. Because how can you say telling a story from the narrative point is bad? I say, for example, the movie with Thomas Jane. I love Thomas Jane, The Punisher, before John Bernthal. And Lawrence Fishburne, Morpheus from The Matrix. They were in a movie called Standoff. Excellent movie. The reason why I say that, because they were able to capture within honing their acting craft and their thespianism and their power of, and you could tell also that the people who did Standoff, they actually had I could say like a camaraderie of a sort, like a friendship sense on set, because you could tell that Thomas Jane and Lawrence Fishburne really respected the director who did Standoff movie, and it was a straight to DVD, but it had potential to be to theaters, and I'm surprised that it didn't. And I think it actually probably did actually hit theaters, but probably just wasn't. It wasn't received so well, so it went straight to DVD. But I saw it on DVD and it was awesome. I loved it, and I own the movie. And so the reason why I brought that up is because Thomas Jane in that movie, he does what he doesn't do in a lot of movies as of late, but he did it for Stephen King, that Netflix movie 1914, I think it was called, and then he did it for Standoff. And what I mean is he does, and remember Thomas Jane he doesn't come from like the credible arts of the thespian. He was a guy on set working on set, and he just was he just got lucky. So even for him, that's why I give him a lot of respect, because he actually takes respect in the craft of acting. He really does. Because if you go back and watch his movies, you will actually see his mannerisms of respecting the material for what's being written, how it's being expressed to him. And that's why Thomas Jane is actually one of the strongest actors that does not get credit. He was in The Mist, awesome movie. He was in the HBO movie, TV show movie, I forgot what it was called, but I think it was called Hung. Funny comedy. I wish they'd have kept that show going. That was just great. Could have been turned into a movie. They actually kind of flipped the timing right. They could have actually had that in the movie. And then, he did the Punisher. Before Marvel movies, just like Blade. That was another Marvel movie that didn't get no credit. It does not get the credit that it's deserved. Blade did not get the credit. It got the attention it deserved for in that time. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Wesley Snipes made his money off that Blade money. I mean, that's what made him, with the IRS, lensing on his ass. It was that Blade money. But and New Jack City. Thank you, Mario Van Peebles and Ice-T. But and then when you look at Lawrence Fishburne, it's the same thing. He came from. That's another actor that doesn't really get that much credit either. And a lot of people don't really give him a lot of credit. Lawrence Fishburne is damn near A-list actor, but he doesn't get the credit that he's really well deserved. If you ever go back and watch a movie called The King of New York with Christopher Walken, he doesn't get no credit, and I'm actually kind of appalled by that because for a man as strong of an actor as Lawrence Fishburne, the King of New York was a set piece. It was a time piece. It was just, you cannot do that movie again. It was just so good. And if you go back and look at Lawrence Fishburne then, no amount of CG will ever bring that performance to the level that he made that performance. I don't care what you make CG or whatever. You cannot bring that dimensions in his face, the look, the style, the attitude. That was all New York. And I'm telling you, New York City really got his respect being on New York. You know what I mean? I love New York City for that. I mean, got all, even West Coast cats got, niggas talking like that. It was dope. And Lawrence Fishburne, beautiful, man. Doesn't get the credit. And that's what I mean, It's like, and if you're not careful, actors out there, if you're not careful, you really got to be careful for what you wish for in Hollywood, because, like I said, being typecasted is one of the hardest things that you don't want to have happen. And you see it a lot happen with a lot of actors. You see it with Pauly Shore, for Christ's sake. Pauly Shore had his moments, but that was the Pauly Shore era back in the 80s and 90s. That was his time. But he never developed himself enough. He just thought he could do the wizard, for the rest of his life. But no, people won't take you seriously because you got to hone your craft. You got to grow. And so that's why you hear from people like Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Sidney Poitier, Daniel Day-Lewis, highly regarded actors, like the true actors. Philip Seymour Hoffman was going there. He was getting there. But he just really wasn't that highly regarded at the time. But he was getting there before his death, his timely death, which was crazy. He was really getting there. Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman had a lot more material to do. He had a lot more acting to do. A lot more. He had a lot more screenplay work to do too. I mean, he was gonna be a director, writer, screenplayer. He was gonna be like James Cameron level. Like if he would have kept going with his career, he was getting there. He was going. He was getting serious. He was like, it's gonna be like the white Meryl Streep, pretty much. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Oh yeah, he was getting there. He was gonna be like his own version of the Marlon Brando thing. Because Marlon Brando, he lived his life. I mean, he had what you call a beautiful acting career. I mean, he didn't have to pay no homages. He didn't have to say thank you to anybody. He just did what the fuck he wanted to do. And that's a beautiful thing to do in acting. If you're lucky to be on that level, and a lot of actors have it. Shia LaBeouf, he's kind of going through that right now. Shia LaBeouf is an actor who's highly regarded, but he's not fully immersing himself with the material enough. So when you look at Shia LaBeouf, he's not being taken too literal because of his antics, getting in fights and the paper bag thing and, over his head and that whole paper bag campaign and, Shia LaBeouf the cannibal, that thing, it was all crazy.